Hi, my name is Elsie, and thank you for joining me here today. I'm really glad for the opportunity to present and to share. I'm really excited to have our discussion time later. Today, we're going to be talking about rooted in purpose. Am I truly making a difference? Maybe this is a question you've asked yourself along the way in your online teaching. The three main areas we'll talk about are overcoming isolation, can be a reality of teaching online, some online teaching tips that I've picked up along the way, and how to optimize opportunities to build meaningful connections with our students, which is all linked to our purpose. So first of all, I just wanted to jump straight in with a quick behind the scenes of life as an online English teacher. Here we go. Hey, good afternoon. So maybe you can relate to aspects of that video. If you work from home and you're a teacher, you, I'm sure, love the flexibility of it, getting errands done and also making every minute count before you have to be online. And it would be great to hear some of your funny stories as well about that. So the flexibility is amazing. And when I started teaching, I wanted to be really intentional and pray for my students and have moments and be cool, calm, and collected before each lesson. And sometimes that's just not the reality, and we're rushing to it and making it work. I don't know where you're at today. I have recently moved house. I'm living out of some boxes. And so my teaching is falling a little bit second place right now, to be honest. And this has been a really lovely way to be reminded of how much I love it and I enjoy my lessons. And it's a great break to be connecting with my students in between unpacking. So I don't know where this will find you. I hope it will find someone who's maybe started out a little bit like me, a bit overwhelmed, not sure if I'm doing enough, am I a good enough teacher, kind of asking those questions. And that's what we're going to unpack a little bit today. So I hope to just share some of my observations and lessons learnt, my journey as a teacher, some tips for overcoming isolation, some online teaching tips, opportunities, and then, yes, the discussion later. So maybe you're juggling a lot of things as well right now. Just to be honest, I am not a full-time teacher, so I want that to be clear as I give this presentation, that my tips have to be taken with a pinch of salt, I guess. If this is your full-time and you're doing teaching every single day, then your reality is going to be a little bit different. So my journey so far, I will have taught in quite a few different countries. It's opened up so many opportunities for me, and I'm really grateful for that, especially when it comes to studying languages as well. So I've really learned how that's helped me build compassion, have more patience for my students as I've picked up languages along the way and have a very humbling experience of starting from scratch. So this is, you can read this in more detail later, but just some places where I've been in different contexts. And right now I am in America. Some of my favorite moments and places in between lessons to have that quick tea or coffee. I've been teaching online, but also did some classroom work as well, which it's a very different context and both have lots of highs and lows. So let's think about the reality of teaching. This was a message that I sent to a friend saying how it can be quite isolating working from home, being an online teacher. Even though we love the privileges of it and the flexibility. And so I just wanted to take this chance to talk about overcoming isolation. One thing that really, really made a difference for me, and I think had a knock-on impact and made a difference for my students, was joining a mentorship program. I was really glad to be connected with a lovely lady through the mentorship program that this conference organises as well. So I was connected, and very early on, I think in one of our first sessions, I just started to cry because I was tired. I didn't want to take a break because I didn't want to let my students down. But my mentor really kindly just asked me whether I wondered if my students noticed that I was tired as well, and how, giving our best really comes from a place of rest. And that enabled me to take a little bit of time, enjoy a summer vacation. And this photo shows one of the moments when I was traveling. I was on a totally different time zone, but I had woken up at 3 a.m. I think, because I still really wanted to take that lesson. I wanted to be committed to my students. And sometimes that's necessary. Maybe they have an exam that you're committed to helping them towards. Sometimes it's not. So knowing and discerning that difference, I think, can be really key. Another thing that really changed for me was just attending some conferences. It was really great when I first came across this conference. It made really a difference to hear other teachers and their experiences. And if you're teaching on any different networks or platforms, they sometimes also do conferences or networking opportunities. So I've really enjoyed being part of those. Something that is really key for my life and balancing out being online and digital is then making sure that other parts of my life are really socially interactive. Even though I am an introvert, I do crave that time. And quite ironically, whenever I've taken language lessons, although I'm an online English teacher, I really don't prefer to take online lessons because that's my life anyway, my work. So I've always looked for in-person classes. So I don't know what that looks like for you. For me, I also go and join gym workouts as a group because I do so much on my own. I want to be in that group dynamic again. And sometimes it's hard, not brainstorming and having opportunities as a team. So having these ways to have a mentor, join others. My real hope has been to, find another teacher in my local area and be able to kind of meet up and swap ideas. I haven't found that yet, but maybe some of you have some ideas for me. So this was another aspect, really just, doing online classes, being digital, you have to do so many other things as well as just showing up and teaching a lesson. Sometimes that can be the most stressful thing for me, honestly. And having to be on top of the scheduling, the communication with the classes, things like pricing. That's my absolute worst thing to do, is to review my pricing and communicate to students. Figuring out taxes, finances, all of that kind of thing. And that can also feel really isolating. So it's great when you can learn from others. And I just wanted to share some things that have helped me along the way. So staying on top of things, I think this really can help us make a difference to our students, because if we feel more calm and ready and composed for a lesson, then they notice that, I think, as well. So I spent a lot of time trying to streamline some of my processes. Nothing is perfect. I'm not tech savvy, ironically, again. So I hope maybe to learn from some of you on some things that you do in this way to keep things smooth and straightforward, so that we can really then focus the most on a student and their needs and come fresh and excited, bringing energy to the lessons. So let's see. So during our discussion time, I plan to share some templates with you. I'll share my screen and I'll give you access to some trackers that I have worked quite hard on to put in place. And yeah, just to see if that could be helpful at all. So finally, thinking about optimizing our opportunities. So when we have, worked on how to avoid some isolation, build up some other things, I love going and preparing my lessons in a cafe, and just having a change of scene can be really great as well. We're getting a little bit more organized with our tracking students and being on top of things. And all of that, I believe, can make a big difference in how we show up and connect with our students and can be present. I'm sure you've maybe had that experience of being the other side of a language lesson and your teacher's a little distracted, maybe, and that doesn't feel too good. So just being present really honors the student, being personal, knowing things about their life. I'm definitely not a hunter when we talk about sales terms. I'm the farmer. I love to have a smaller number of students that I can really get to know, connect with, know their story, know the name of their kid or their dog and where they love to go on holiday. These things matter, I think. And, students will come and share that their parent died yesterday, or something really hard is happening. That's happened in many of my lessons. And I've cried on screen with my students because there's hard things happening and it all bubbles up and comes out. So being personal, being present, and being imperfect. Life happens. We're human. I struggle with this a lot, to be vulnerable, to let students into my life as well and say, oh, it's been a stressful week. But I think that builds connection and we feel more seen and closer as well. So these are just some ways to keep our purpose at the focus of what we do, showing God's love and that we care for them, even if they're on the other side of the world. Because English can change someone's life. They can end up doing things that they never thought they would and opening opportunities, and that really motivates me. So thank you so much for listening. I'm looking forward to our discussion together, and we will think about these questions. So looking forward to that. See you soon.